Hey there, welcome to my channel, Perceptive Truth, where every layer you uncover changes how you see everything. My name is Jennifer, and I practice traditional astrology. So today I wanted to go over Mercury retrograde, and he's fixing to go direct. And today's date is March 16th, 2026, so he's fixing to go direct in a few days. So also, once he goes direct, he's going to be conjuncting the Pisces North Node. So I will discuss that here in a little bit, and also the new moon that's fixing to happen in Pisces. But first, I just kind of wanted to go over some facts about Mercury, what Mercury represents, all that good stuff. So, like I said, Mercury went retrograde on February 26, 2026. And he's fixing to go direct on March 20th, 2026. So just a little bit about Mercury. So in the Roman mythology, Mercury was the god of boundaries, commerce, communication, and even divination. Actually, I was reading that today. He was also the god of financial gains, travelers, and one thing that I noticed, and it didn't matter like whether it was Greek mythology or Roman mythology. So in Greek mythology, his name was Hermes, but in Roman mythology, Mercury. He was actually a guide of the souls to go to the underworld. And he was the only god who could go back and forth between the underworld and back to the regular world. And also another thing about Mercury was that he was considered a trickster of sorts. So in astrology, it's just a little different, but not too much. He mostly represents communication, intellect, thought processes, and rational thought. And I just wanted to put in there for medical astrology. He also governs the nervous system and the respiratory system, along with mental processing. So I found this story kind of funny and silly. So what have we learned since Mercury went retrograde on the 26th of February? Well, let me share this headline. So on the 26th of February, Jim Carrey, he showed up for I think it was like a Lifetime Achievement Award in France for, I think they were called the Caesar Awards or César Awards. I'm not sure. Anyways, and when he showed up, so we didn't see it like here in the States, I guess, unless you were watching this, you did not see Jim Carrey get this award. It was something that came in the news later on. And everybody at the time was like, what happened to Jim Carrey's face? And so I was just sharing this little article with you. I wasn't going to read it or anything, just the title, the headline. I mean, Jim Carrey's face is up for debate. No, seriously. So just that's the picture of him on their little red carpet. And you can see some more some more pictures of him receiving his award. All right, so let me go back here. Oops, there we go. So I thought this was like the perfect story for Mercury retrograde. Because once everybody saw that picture of Jim Carrey, everybody was like, what happened? And there was like all sorts of theories. So one was that it was not Jim Carrey at all. It was a stand-in, somebody who had put some kind of face of some kind, like a mask, which is ironic. But other people were like, oh, he just got plastic surgery, so that's why he looks different. And then there was also like, it's a clone. And then like also like one of the last things I had kind of read was like it's all just a joke. So as of today, because I was kind of reading to see if Jim Carrey had said anything, and the only thing he had kind of said through like I guess his team, like his agents or whatever, was he just said that he thought the theories were stupid, and of course it was him. So that well, no, he didn't even say that. He just said, of course the theories are stupid. So he kind of didn't even admit, or he didn't admit to, or not admit that it was him or was not him. So that's kind of where that was left at. But how funny that like the day Mercury went retrograde, this happened, and then everybody's like, "What happened?" And it's just kind of like, you know, Mercury right now is retrograde in Pisces. And so Pisces is a very mutable sign. I would consider Pisces to have like 1 foot in reality and 1 foot in like the subconscious world. He's also the change of winter into spring. So we're kind of left with like what is real, what is not, what isn't. Um, did Jim Carrey just get a little nip and tuck? I mean, who knows? And I would say like my personal opinion would be that yeah, he probably got plastic surgery and it's kind of why he looked different for us, but he's getting older. Excuse me, he's in his 60s, so he's not a young spring chicken anymore. Excuse me. And so it is what it is. He's a celebrity. He has lots of money, a lot of time. He can go get plastic surgery if he wants to. So that's kind of where I am with that. But like I was kind of like, well, what is this kind of teaching us right now? I know it's like a silly example, but it was kind of like Mercury retrograde in Pisces is kind of teaching us something a little bit deeper, right? He's asking us to kind of dig deep into what reality we want. And I say that because Pisces, I would say that's like the magic of Pisces, right? You get to decide what dreams you want to bring to life. So, like I said, Pisces has 1 foot here in the real world and 1 foot in the subconscious life or world. Because Pisces is a dreamer. Pisces, is intuitive and fluid and, like I said, mutable. So Pisces can reach into that realm of, dreams and everything like that. And so like the modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune, the traditional ruler of Pisces is Jupiter. And so it's kind of like this big idea of, being able to just kind of go out there and just imagine things that maybe this world regular people probably can't see. So that kind of makes Mercury a little bit more like you're able, like the thought processes, you're able to see things differently. And I think that's what Mercury retrograde in Pisces was trying to help us do, is see things differently. And Jim Carrey, like his face was different and we're like, what happened? But so there's that part. And what I found really interesting also was like the mythology of Mercury, which was he was the only god that, like I said, could go in between the worlds. So I thought, what a perfect, like, roundabout way to experience this season of Mercury retrograde from February to March, because he was the guide of the soul and he was giving us that chance to go between the worlds right now. And like Mercury retrograde also is like slowing down and rethinking maybe life, spirituality, anything like that. Like what's going on in my life? What am I, wanting to redo or rehash or rethink, or and the thought processes that go with that. So I thought that was like a really interesting take. But I also noticed, or you kind of can't ignore that it's also like Mercury retrograde this time was also giving us like a little clue. And what I mean by that is like of what we'll be dealing with from now on. So I'm not saying that Jim Carrey is AI by all means. Like, I don't know, if a theory, if it was a stand in or something, but that it was still a real person. So it wasn't like a fake person receiving that award. So I'm not saying that Jim Carrey is AI, but what I'm trying to say is now that more things are becoming AI video, AI is becoming a lot more harder to distinguish when it's real and fake. And as long as AI is being like ushered in, and I haven't noticed anywhere where there's any type of regulations. There's definitely not any regulations here in the States. So we're also having to trust our senses right now. We have to, you know, sight alone will it seems like sight alone is starting to get a little iffy on whether we can trust what our eyes are telling us. So another like mercurial and then Pisces mixed in, like dissolving of what's real and what's not. So that's also something to take into consideration of something we were kind of clued into, what we were seeing, what we were experiencing. And definitely with Jim Carrey and everybody's like, what happened? Um, so now I kind of wanted to move on to Mercury going direct on the 20th of March, 2026. And once he goes direct, he is going to be conjunct the North Node in Pisces. And so for those who don't know, but if you watch astrology, you probably know, but it's just a little quick rehash of rehash. Sorry, it's just a quick little explanation of North Node. So I don't practice evolutionary astrology, but I still kind of understand like how they view the North Node. And so North Node in evolutionary astrology kind of represents like the soul's karmic path or growth, or growth or purpose. Kind of like if you were to think like of a true north, the North Node is like the true north of your soul in evolutionary astrology. And then so the North Node in Vedic astrology is also called Rahu. Um, Rahu kind of represents like this intense desire or obsession of like growth of what your purpose is. So it's kind of like it wants it so bad that um, it devours anything that it needs to get to where it needs to go, which can be good, can be bad. Like I guess it would be good like if you have that desire and you're going to do anything to get there, but it's not good if you're like having to, step on other people or whatever. But so that's kind of like a two-way view of seeing what the North Node kind of means. And it's kind of like a catalyst of change. Like I kind of view the North Node as like a catalyst, right? Like things are going to happen in your life, like a destiny. And no matter what you do, like at some point you're going to reach that destiny, and like the North Node in your chart can kind of tell you like the sign and the house to kind of help you understand like maybe this is where you should be going, but also like take it a little step at a time rather than just devouring this obsession that you might get with that that placement. So I kind of was thinking a little bit of what Mercury uh in Pisces, like going direct in Pisces and just sitting right there on the North Node, like what is that trying to tell us right now? And I kind of had this insight that it means that right now, um, I think we're being asked to be like radical empaths. But I want to put like an asterisk on it. Like, yes, be empathetic and care about what other people are going through, but to also know that you have your own sovereignty. So it's not like, you're so empathetic that you forget the boundaries between yourself and somebody else. And so, like, if you ever follow like Carl Jung, the psychologist, a while ago, he kind of had this idea of empaths. He would call them awakeners. So not necessarily um, like someone who's awakened into a spiritual path. Not necessarily that. That's kind of not what he was trying to explain, but more of as an awakener of a person who's been able to move past being like a psychic sponge and absorbing others like negative emotions. Um so like you're able to so like if you're a psychic sponge, you can walk into a room, right? And you can feel everything that's going on around you. You can notice that somebody's angry and you feel it. Maybe you feel it like in your throat chakra or something, or in the middle of your belly, like your solar plexus. So you get these, like, you end up like taking on everybody's issues, right? And so what Carl Jung was trying to say, like, to be an awakener, you move past that. You become wiser to what you're feeling, and you're able to transform it into like a mastery of understanding um your boundaries. Like, you have clear boundaries now. So you don't just like, maybe you still feel you can walk into a room and feel other people's emotions, but you're not going to just absorb them. You're going to make space for them now. But you're not going to take it on as your own. So you're kind of, I this is kind of like where I was thinking, or where I was going with this. It's like you're learning to move past your own personal trauma response of being an empath, because like sometimes, or like the idea of someone who has a lot of empathy, and like the reason why I'm talking about empathy is because Pisces is a very empathetic sign. And the reason you have this much empathy is sometimes growing up you had a lot of trauma. So like your nervous system like learned how to detect other people's emotions like quickly and like sufficiently, so that like you could kind of maneuver in between somebody being angry or whatnot. So I think that's what the North Node in Pisces is trying to tell us right now, with Mercury conjunct there, is that we're learning to move on from that trauma response, and we're being able to, like I said, hold space for others, but not taking it as your own. And because Mercury, just the mythology of Mercury again, is like able to move from the underworld back to the real world. So it's kind of thinking of like being able to move through your shadow work, to be a realized person. So like the shadow will always be there. It's like another Carl Jung idea, the shadow, but you're able to actually work through that and be a a person who's wise and is able to work through the shadow and like realize it within yourself, right? So you're not, it becomes not a shadow anymore, but there's a light on it now, and you kind of know like where you're coming from when things happen. Um and so like right now the world is changing. It's obvious, right? Like everything's changing, and how I believe is that we are born here for a reason, and we're being called to witness it right now. And whether you believe that or not, but I do believe that maybe when our souls were choosing to come to earth, that we decided as a collective, obviously there's billions of us out there, but we all decided to come at this time and this place, so that's kind of how I feel, or what I feel Pisces, North Node Pisces and Mercury conjunct the North Node is trying to teach us right now. So with the new moon that's fixing to happen in about 2 days, I feel like it's just giving us a pause, before Aries ushers in springtime. Because like I said, Pisces is winter and Aries brings the spring. And so Pisces, I would say the new moon in Pisces is just giving us just a last minute chance of rest, and to also remember to listen to your own intuition, to write down your dreams if you have any, to make moments of stillness and take every moment to just be, try not to. I know, like I said, I know it's hard. The world is changing. It's a quite chaotic time right now, but in between things that we cannot control, we can control ourselves, and we can control how we're experiencing this time. So if you can, try to take the time to just be, enjoy life, you know, enjoy your kids or your family, your pets, enjoy outside, because I think that is one of the best medicines that we have right now, is just to not let evil take over, that we can still have moments of joy and of peace, and stuff like that. So those are kind of my insights, and I just wanted to share just a little bit more, like, what am I going to be doing in the next few days to kind of help, myself feel this energy. So I feel like I'm going to try to listen more to my intuition and my guides. Like I said, the advice is not just for you. Like, I also, that's probably why I wrote it, because I need to take more moments of stillness. So that's what I plan to do. I also want to tap back into my spirituality, which is such a Pisces thing to do. And when I tap back into my spirituality, I start seeing signs everywhere, or like synchronicities. And I think those are wonderful ways for the spirit world to talk to us. So like I said earlier, that Mercury rules over the respiratory system. I plan to breathe. Just breathe through stuff that comes in, whether it's like the news or anything else. Just take deep breaths. Take like 3 deep breaths. So that's another thing that I'm planning to do. Like, if I feel overwhelmed about something, just take a deep breath. I'm going to continue taking my herbal nervines, and some that I take them in tincture form. I take like passion flower and valerian root, and that kind of helps my nervous system become more regulated whenever I'm feeling anxious or nervous. So, and one more thing that I feel like what I'm wanting to do right now is I want to continue. I had put it down for a while because I had been kind of busy, but I want to continue reading the autobiography of a yogi. It's the story of Paramahansa Yogananda. And I feel like right now his story would be excellent to read, because he was actually born with Neptune in Aries, and he was a yogi. He ushered in yoga to the West. So very, very interesting person, and has a lot to teach, especially about spirituality. So those are things that I'm going to do right now, and I would love to hear if you have any plans. So please comment. Let me know what you think, what you plan to be doing in this time. And also, if you don't mind liking this video, sharing it, commenting, I'd appreciate any or all of that. So thank you so much for sitting here with me and listening to me talk. But anywho, all right. I guess I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Bye.